My Missing Piece, a collection of stories from amputees for anyone navigating loss, reclaiming strength, and redefining possibility. The Amputee Center in Ohio University's College of Health Sciences and Professions are proud to collaborate in launching an innovative podcast series that highlights resilience, empowerment, and community. This partnership unites expertise in education and rehabilitation to amplify the voices of amputees, share inspiring stories, and foster meaningful conversations on accessibility and well-being. By leveraging the Amputee Center's deep-rooted commitment to advocacy and CHSP's studio resources, this initiative will serve as a platform for education, inclusion, and support for individuals navigating life after losing a limb. We are excited to bring this vision to life and create lasting impact together. Andy, I just want you to kind of talk about like life before the incident, before the amputation.
Oh, life before the amputation. It was cool. I was a young kids coming up, walking around, playing soccer, climbing trees, catching whatever different type of creature like fish and lobsters and all these different stuff.
So, I mean, that's just what was normal life there. It's not like, yeah. So
That's part of our thing, what we do daily.
So, like, you went to school every day, transportation?
No, I went to school, but no transportation. We go walking because it's right in the same village where we live. So we used to go sometime bare feet.
Right. So what's the name of the village you grew up in?
The village I grew up in is the south side of Costa Rica named Manzanillo.
Manzanillo?
Yeah, Manjanil. Like you would say in the Patois language, you would say Manjanil. Yeah, it was nice little, was like only,
Manzanillo works for me.
I'll butcher it.
it was only 13 houses.
Oh.
No electricity. We have to collect our own water, make even by tanks or well. Or sometimes we go to the river. So that's the way we used to get water home. Sometimes you have to walk distance to get bucket or gallons and bring the water back home. So your parents could cook or wash your clothes or do whatever they need to do with that water.
And let me just put a time frame on this. We're talking about the 90s.
No, 80s, baby.
80s, well, and 90s.
And
Electricity
90s, so
didn't
yeah,
come through
even
until
90,
the 90s.
93, we got electricity. But
So this is homesteading in my mind. There's nothing is convenient. You've got to go to the river for water. Tell me that sometimes they'd wash their clothes at the river. It just puts me in mind of,
yeah,
100 years back.
That's the perspective that I think we can gain from each part of your story that historically we can't get from anybody else because, as Costa Rica and the way that you lived would be considered primitive or third world country to us or whatever, politically
That's
correct
true.
way of saying it. And that amputation is something, that happened as long as there's been humans, or limb difference, or, a child born that way. So when you look at the development of prosthetics and what we can do now, it's amazing, and we know it's amazing, but it's really amazing. When you look at the scope of like somebody in any past battle, there's a scene in I think it was a Netflix show, that was set in the 1500s, and there was a guy with a prosthetic leg, and and you just go, oh yeah, well then it really was, very, infection. How did it heal? Like miraculous that they, even lived past the time of the amputation.
The everyday pains
Yeah.
they would go through. Or
No liners, no extra
Right.
gels, like
straight.
no Bluetooth knees.
no Bluetooth knees. Yeah.
Flop, flop.
All right, and I think that's also the perspective of with the Paralympics just being on, and I mean, myself, I'm humbled by watching the Olympics, but then, the Paralympics is amazing, but also so amazing because of all of the steps that have to be taken to get to that point is so rare.
And
It's not easy.
I think such an achievement too, because everyday life, like he was saying, was very active and very hard compared to what you and I lived, and we're the same generation here. That when he says, these are things that we did, it was walking far when Grandma Edith would send them into town to buy rations. He's talking about a 10-mile walk where they would leave according to the tides on the beach, because they would have to coordinate crossing rivers at low tides. It could take, a day to get there and get back. They'd leave 3, 4 in the morning and not get back until night just to go get. So we're talking very active childhood and very active lifestyle to be so secluded. Things I just can't even imagine. And then I'm like, wait a minute, but we're the same age. You're talking about the 1980s. Wait a minute.
When my grandmother used to send you and buy, you better bring what she told you. No excuse.
There's no running back to the corner shop.
You better go and come back with what she told you she want, because sometimes when the rain start, oh my God, and the rivers open, and you got to cross these rivers, and you see some massive rivers, and they're deep, and they join with the ocean, so it's this current. You have to go all the way out where the ocean breakers with the river water meet. That's the shallowest part where you could cross over. And you got to know when to do it and how to do it. Because you could disappear and no one find you again.
Oy. And it was just children set to
Those kids,
go.
I
Just
mean,
go.
5, 6 years crossing these rivers, What was like adventure for us,
Yeah.
it was fun.
Yeah, it
We
was
used to
fun.
happy to go do it.
That's the impression I get when I hear the brothers and sisters getting together to talk about it. They're always laughing. They're very tight.
So, what year were you born?
1976.
76, yeah. So, 80s and 90s. Okay, so let's talk about what happened.
What happened?
Mm-hmm.
What
The
happened
day. What was the day like? What was happening?
was this day, I was coming the day before I went and played soccer. So, hanging out with my friends at night and joking, because the other day we was have to go to school. So I get up in the morning, I went to we call it the pulperia, to get some bread and I think milk and something else for my mom. So I was home there and waiting till the hours to go to school. So the hours come, so I went to school, and we was there and having fun. Time to come home. They touch the bell, everybody heading home. Like 10 minutes after they touched the bell to come out, I was walking on the street with some friends, and I booked up some other friends. And we was chatting there and joking, and then we hear this terrible sound. You have to live it to understand the way the heart could make this huge sound. And then it starts. Then this massive shake, every direction. Heart is moving. The electric pole is touching the floor and up and down the trees. The people screaming. And I get over the next side of the road with my cousin and another friend. And in fraction of a second, it was the wall on my leg. Oh my God. Crash it, mash it up, stick on the concrete. Yep, and then because I have to wait there like 10 minutes so the locals find big pipes and tubes and tray. So when they pull up the piece of concrete, the concrete will fall on my leg. I was there, then a guy in a car was going, and he take me up, and he drive me to the hospital. So when I reached there, it was crazy, because it started the replic, start shaking again, and everybody panic, never lived this. Everybody screaming, bawling. All the people is outside. They have in this hoping field. So next to me was a little girl, and she died. You know, she got hit in her head with a rock, and she died. And then I was there. They give me an injection to cool down the pain, because in the moment wasn't no pain. But like an hour later, there comes the terrorist feelings in my life. The pain wasn't nothing nice. So then maybe an hour later, they take me to the little small airport in Port Limon and put me on a plane, and I didn't remember nothing after that till when I wake up, I was in a surgery room. Yeah, but for the first 10 days, they was trying to save my leg, but it was already poison. It was of the poison blood in it, so they couldn't save it. So 10 days later, they amputated. Yeah, it was terrible coming out the surgery room, because it was a lot of chills. I was shaking, like never stop. The nurse would have to come in the room and give me something to cool it down. Yeah, and then when I wake up the next morning, I feel like I would, I feel like I could still walk. Like my leg was right there still. I feel it. I think I could get up and stand. No way. Guess try to stand, and I get dizzy, almost faint.
Wow. The perspective, as you said, with that little girl, like
Yeah, that was a shock.
the fact that you like survived.
Survived,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a wow.
Yep.
So he was, the flight, he was taken into the capital,
Yep.
into San Jose, and you were at the Children's Hospital?
Yeah,
Or the-
no. I was they put me in the children's hospital was full, so they put me in an adult one. Which is I was there like for 15 days, don't know nothing about my parents, because no communication, no road, no.
And they didn't know where you were either.
Yeah, they was trying to figure it out where I was, but someone get in touch, and I don't know. When I wake up, I see my mom right in front of me. I'm like, what is this? It's a ghost, or what is here?
And your mom had no phone at the house,
No
right?
phone at the
So
house.
communications were down, but his little neighborhood, there was like a payphone, like a community phone.
Yeah,
so
but
communication was really rough in these days. And then just for perspective again, this was April
22nd, 1991, 3:45.
in the afternoon, and it was a magnitude 7.8.
7.8 magnitude. Massive shake. I don't wish no one of you guys lived this.
Wow. That's amazing. So, your parents were fine? The children, the other siblings?
Yeah, how did they finally find you?
They find me by my uncle, connect my cousin, and she went to all of the hospital in San Jose, and she find me. Yeah, when you get communication, and you get communication with her. Yeah. My dad was on a cruise. My dad used to work on a cruise ship, so my mom was home with my brothers and sisters. Yeah, nothing didn't happen to no one, only me. I was the luckiest one. Still here, could talk about it, you know.
So rehabilitation, anything about prosthetics, you just had no idea,
No,
right?
I didn't have no idea. I didn't see no one with one leg. So I didn't know nothing about this. Was like brand new in my life now. Now I got the psychologist from the hospital start talking to me and telling me, don't worry, things will be good. There's a lot of opportunity out there. Technology is changing. They got legs so you guys could walk around again, and start telling me motivation. So then they take me to this rehabilitation clinic. It was next to the hospital. So I was there like for 1 month and teach you to do a lot of stuff by yourself again. They're like you're bored, you're starting new again. So they teach you must do this, or you must do that, and try to get me in a wheeling chair, but it's never part of me. They tried to get me on crutches, but wasn't part of me, but I still learn about it. So, yeah. And then when I get out, hospital and I went back home. Then that's when everything going to start now, the next start. My mom worries because, we live in a very poor house. 6 of us, 1 bedroom.
Wow.
1 bedroom.
So at that point, when you got back to the house, like, were your wounds healed? Did you have to worry about like infection and?
No, it was healed.
It
It
was
was,
all
good,
healed.
good.
Okay.
It was good. They're not gonna, they wouldn't let you out here if it's not good. So then I get home and my neighbors and my friends and everybody start come around and like looking like sad, like poor thing. I said, no poor thing here. No. I gotta do what I gotta do to survive. So like that, like 3 days later, I was on my bike and I realized I could ride my bike. I fall a couple times because, not accustomed to it. So then I start with my bike, and my
This
bike
is
was
without
my
a
leg.
prosthetic.
No,
Yeah.
no prosthesis. I
Yeah.
didn't have no prosthesis.
Right.
I get my prosthesis 2 years later.
2 years with no
2
prosthetic.
years later, I
And
get my prosthesis.
You were 13?
Yeah, I was
13.
40, almost 14. Yeah.
So without a prosthetic, were you using crutches?
No, my bike.
Okay, I mean, I'm just general, getting around
I-
the house, things
I
like
jump.
that.
I jump
Just-
around.
Oh,
I would be jumping around. Oh yes. I was young, so.
And the bike. I mean,
And the
just in
bike.
our time together, he would take the bike right into the house, or downstairs in the restaurant, he'd take it right into the kitchen
oh, because it gave him something
because it
to
gave him something
balance.
to lean on and,
Yep, and to
kinda
move
push
around. I start going to school. Everybody's surprised the day I show up at the school. Wow! On my bike. All my friends trying to lift me up and move me. I said, no, I use my bike because this is my new leg. Yeah. Even go to farm on my bike. I climb trees with my friends and pick fruits and,
He'd take his bike
all
from
these little things.
the road
Play soccer with them. I was the catcher, We had some
Through the
good time with
sand.
my friend.
and
You played goalie
Yeah, I was the catcher, yeah.
with one leg,
One
no
leg,
prosthetic, no crutches.
and everybody good. Only I with one leg jumping around, winning the games. We happy, celebrate the neighbors. Hey, you guys you're doing good. Good for you. I say yes. I want to do things. I don't want to lay. Then maybe 3 months later, because this I used to live in. After that, I from Manzanillo, but I come to Lemon. That's where my mom was living. Is the town, Lemon. So I was there. Then I went back to Manzanillo.
to your grandma's.
And then life was nicer because then you're on the boat, then you're on the water, then you're on the beach, then you're in the forest. But, yep, that is going catching lobster, going down like 15 meter below water.
And so at that point, you really had never, obviously before, never had seen an amputee. In the years, like your teenage years, did you interact with anybody that was an amputee?
Nope.
Or you were just,
Only when I go to the clinic, I would see other people, and they would tell me, and so I start learning. So I start learning about it. Every time I get out my town and I go to when I have a CETA and I got to go up and check me out. Excuse. Then I was here. Now I start hearing stories, and I seen people with one limb, one leg, no legs, no arms. Wow. I said, wow. Now it's something new in my world. I didn't see this before.
but as far as like the community in your village, you were able to be accepted, like there wasn't limitations in that way. I mean, everybody accepted you.
Yeah, everybody, and they push. They say, sure,
That's
you
good.
could do it. I know this man have a leg when I was, and he do this, so you could do it. So they always, I mean, the younger ones was have some strong bullying, some strong nicknames. You got to deal with it, So, but it's never break me down. I keep going. I show them that I want to make it happen. I used to go, when I get my leg first time, coming down, my sister passed away, right? She was there with me. I trying to walk and I end up almost in the ditch. I drop, I fall. And she start laughing, and I get pissed off because she laughing, and I trying to walk. I mean, I don't know nothing about this. I didn't even go to a therapist or nothing. No, they fit the leg on, and ciao, see you. Figure it out.
So you didn't have any physical therapist.
Nope.
Just here's the leg, figure it out.
Figure it out.
So at that time, I have no perspective of like healthcare, and were you able to? Did you have to like pay for it? Did you have insurance? What is Costa Rica like when it comes to getting?
At least these type of prosthetics, the hospital they give it to you because it's cheap. It's those crappy. I mean, it's good because you learn to do a lot of stuff with them, but you got to be careful because many times it's happened to me. I was walking, coming from high school or college, and it would break in the middle of the road. It just cracks. It break.
So what was it made out of?
It would have like the fiberglass outside, but it would have wood in the inside.
So
You live down in this tropical humidity, so the wood get rotting. You don't know because you cannot see it, but it show you it break, cracks. My neighbor in front goes have a little mechanic shop. He would always try saving me, patching it up, patching it up. I would get all kind of blisters, but I don't care. Once I was walking, I don't care. I still wear it. Get a lot of blisters.
Wow. So you said college. So you went on college, life, marriage, kids, life went on.
Colegio or college is
Yeah,
high
colegio.
school.
Oh, that's high school.
Yep. Their uni is uni. Yeah, it's one of those little faux amis, false, like, doesn't translate well.
Different words.
But yes, finished high school.
Yeah, well, that same year when that happened, well, on the earthquake was the 22nd of April, right? So I finished my year. I got it done. I got it figured out. I finished it. I keep going school. And in my vacation, I would go back to my town where I raised and try to do little works like rake yard and
At this time, that was your high school option, right? Was to go back up to Limon.
Yeah,
There was no
that
high
was the
school
option.
in Manzanillo area.
no, it was up this this one in Talamanca, but how you get there?
Because the no roads.
You got to get up like
Yeah.
when my oldest brother got to that college, he would get up like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and he would start walking with his friends. And when you get Punta Uva, some guy was have a car with help them out to Puerto Viejo, and then them have to figure it out to get there. So it was an all day traveling to go to college. Back, you come back like 6 o'clock in the night. My brother would be back until they buy a bicycle for him, and it's changed, and it's easier now.
So you have a big role in his life now.
Right.
So it's interesting to me, just because you came into his life after he was adjusted and it was just his
Right.
normal.
Right.
So what was, up until meeting him, if you can take your mind there, like what was your perspective on just anyone with disabilities? Had you experienced much as far as like
Right.
that role?
No, never this role.
Like the role of basically partner caretaker.
Right. And even looking back, all of my friends, my family, blessed with health. So, but like you said, like when I met Andy, he'd already been dealing for 30 years. It was kind of a non-issue, and surprisingly, it was not the first thing I saw when I first saw him.
What was the first thing you noticed?
It was his confidence. And that kind of struck me first. I saw him from across the road, and he got out of a van with his brother and his nephew and a foreigner. And I was with my friend at ladies' night, perhaps our first night out, because we're both single moms who just moved back. We met in Costa Rica, and we left for a while and came back. And she's like, we've got to go out. So we go out, and it's ladies' night, and the bar is packed, and we can't even really get in. And so we're kind of hanging out by the road, just checking out the scene, and here comes this like big white van, just kind of a scene in itself, and out come, these beautiful men. And they're walking into the bar, and all of them have a certain confidence, a certain look about them, and could tell that they were family or, except for Andy. Andy stayed on the other side of the road and just kind of stood there and stood back like he was assessing things too, and then kind of made his way across when he wanted to, right? And there's something about this like confidence, and he wasn't going to like just walk in with everyone else. He was going to kind of make a thing of it. And then, of course, I noticed the prosthetic, and I was like, wow, and he doesn't even care. There was just this just confidence about him, and it was kind of a magical moment, just kind of like magnetized to him, and it was packed, and there was really no place to walk or sit or anything, but we ended up kind of next to each other and chatting, and we had a nice night, and then I didn't see him for maybe about a month, but then we got together, and he was like, I have a restaurant, and I don't have a woman. And I'm like, yeah, right, buddy.
It's truth.
So I brought my daughter down to this little town where I hadn't been before, only to find a total paradise at the end of the road, where the road stops and becomes a wildlife refuge, which becomes a river, which becomes Panama. And it was just perfect for me. And a little tiny school there, a little market, a pulperia, he said, and I thought, wow, I could really settle in here. And so I started spending a little more time in this village, to the point of enrolling my daughter in school there. And it was just kind of on. And
That's an amazing pickup line. I have a restaurant and no woman. Taking applicants. I'm sure he said other things.
Yeah, I'm sure he said it.
Yeah.
But those were my takeaways from the evening.
You're like, okay.
This confident, one-legged man is a success, and he's single and inviting. Yep.
So, the purpose of these conversations and what I hope to get is that what I hear and see on the mental health side of this is, and this is looking at forums of amputees talking, like not ones that I've ever interacted with. I just see the questions, and that many times marriages fall apart after the amputation. The person isn't, really able to be the caretaker that the other person needs. And then also a lot of people with amputations saying, will I ever date again? Will I ever meet anybody? And the biggest thing I try to remind people is that, if there's stuff going on, it maybe was going on before the amputation. And when that comes with like confidence and self-esteem and mental health and all of that needs cared for, that has nothing to do with limb loss and limb difference. But even in the national convention, I went to like the caretakers support groups, just listened in. And so these are like really important things that I feel like people need to hear of, owning it of who you are. And of course, since it happened when you were 13, 14, you had many years to be inside your skin and be confident. And you were in your town and you were around your people. So she saw you in a space, like you felt his energy, basically. You're just like, whoa. That is something to see someone in a space where they're, firing at all pistons. They're just like, this is is my space, and this is where I'm at, and this is where I'm going into an evening that I'm planning to enjoy and have fun. So to see somebody in that light is huge, but I think it's also meant, these storytellings are meant to be inspiring to someone who maybe feels like, nobody's going to meet me and want to be with me, and so there's that finding your confidence, being comfortable in your own skin, even if you have to reinvent that of who the new version of you is. But like I said, people without limb loss have to go through that too. So.
In fact, I've never really been Andy's cheerleader. He's always been mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that I think that also comes from he went through the stuff way before you.
Right, way before.
So, yeah. So that's really my goal too, is to show the contrast to what it's like to go through it and with someone and to find them after. So
I remember the first time I saw him fall. We were over at the beach in Punta Uva.
Oh, okay.
All right. And it was one of our spots to go watch the sunset. And I had a scooter. I had a little Suzuki scooter at that time. And, when we would go out, he would prefer to drive it. That was a bit of a leap for me. That he did with the prosthetic, but I was like, oh man, just always doing the math in my head of like, oh my gosh, But we would always arrive safely, and he did always know what he was doing, but it was just, I'm on the back, and so there was always some concern there, I'll be honest. But this one time we went, and we're walking, and the sand goes from hard-packed road into the soft sand before it becomes the hard sand again at the water line. And we were talking, and he just went face down. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God. And it occurred to me then, for the first time of like, I had kind of one of those, oh shit moments of like, but I'm 100 pounds, he's twice my size, how am I gonna help? And it stuck with me in kind of like the long term of like, okay. And he was laughing. He came up with his beard full of sand, and he was laughing, and he was like, listen, learning how to fall was the first thing I did. I've been falling for a long time, girl, I'm fine. This is nothing. And he was laughing, but it was it was poignant.
That's such again, knowing you both, but then never knowing these stories, right? Like that's a huge point of checking in with yourself and saying like, am I going to be able to, help this person if this is something I want to, find a partnership with, and is this something I'm willing to sign up for? And I think it's, important for both people to have that conversation. And luckily, again, him knowing how to fall, but again, somebody starting the journey and not knowing would be so much harder.
And he carried no shame with it, or he just kind of laughed and got up, and we just kind of kept on keeping on.
You gotta laugh because
what can you do?
What you gotta do? You gotta make fun off of it.
You fell in front of the girl. You still had to look cool.
Right.
Still have to look cool. I could get up same way and keep going.
Nice. So in this time, from there's that window of time. So you probably got multiple prosthetics as you went into adulthood and just kept adjusting. And then you were married and have kids and went through the whole dad life and
went through the dad life, 2 kids.
So parenting, I consider this a lot of times, all those moments of falling asleep in weird positions, lifting them up, dealing with a 2-year-old throwing a tantrum, all the stuff that's like I barely can handle this, and even another amputee friend of ours with his newborn, he's like, through the whole pregnancy, my fear is, will I be able to hold this child and feel comfortable? So if you want to speak a little bit on
you
dad
think,
life.
You think about it, wow, what's Could I lift up these kids and walk around? Did I want to fall with these kids? You know, very protective, you know. Yeah, it's a big experience, so being amputated and having kids, you know, because it show you that you could do it. But in the moment, you don't know because you never have a kid. So you don't know what'll be happen. First time the mom leave me with with the kids, and they got to change. And I was like nervous because I don't know what I see what she do, but I don't know what to do. But I want to do it.
Any dad goes through that, right? But you
Yeah,
figured it out.
figure it out, and you know.
And so the difference is, as they grew up, just they never knew you any different.
Yeah,
But-
as they grow up, and then they start asking you a question. Why this? Why that? You have to explain them. This happened when I was a young one coming up, and this happened. That's why I'm like this. And but no matter, life still good. Everything will be good. And you know, teach them, show them. You could do, even if you're missing a leg, you could do a lot of stuff still. So it's one of the things I teach them. You know.
And they're adults and have children now, and
Yeah, they're adults and have children. Well,
yeah.
sad story with one of them, but okay. But they are good.
So,
And I also like to add too that during their childhood, and I wasn't around. This is way before my time. Andy was the one to go out and keep the job, and
Yep.
the wife was at home with the kids. So he was, you know, in many ways able to fulfill those responsibilities,
same as any dad.
same as any
Like
dad.
any dad, same as.
So my, I don't know if you know this, a boy I grew up with, my cousin, first cousin, my dad's brother's son, he lost his arm in a farming accident just a mile down the road from my family.
You always told me, but I never meet him.
Yeah, so he, it's just, I drive out to my parents' farm and he's on the tractor and, you know, waves high and just like
Like,
never missed a beat, you know, is out there still working on the equipment that took his arm, right? Like
Yeah.
still doing that. It's like, okay. But as a community, I mean, I know my aunt and uncle, I know they were there, you know, you didn't necessarily show up for them and they had 3 young boys at the time. So you didn't show up because they did it, you know, and you would see them out in family gatherings and church and things like that. And so, and that was 2005. So it's been a minute since it happened, but yeah, I mean, he's working and kept going and it just becomes something in the community that you just get used to seeing, you know, and so I'm sure people around you were just like, oh, that's Andy.
That's Andy.
Okay, yeah.
Here's come Andy.
Yeah.
Here's come the one leg, 1 foot.
and you know, and with our Marley, you know, she really did switch to homeschooling because of bullying. That's one of the big reasons that she homeschools. And so, you know, that's and it was a lot of walking, where I think it was Parkersburg High School, but it was a lot of walking, and so she chose to do that, and her family supports her. But, you know, that is something to think about, is the adversity that comes from, you know, either they accept you or you have to deal with mean kids.
But that's the way you learn. It's a good way to learn with the mean kids. That's when you want to learn a lot of stuff and not hiding away from it. You know?
Yeah.
And that's how I learn with the mean kids. Even fighting. Even fight sometimes. But
What was Rob for Halloween last year? He was the one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. He had like the name tag on and like, oh, you guys were here. You weren't here.
No, we weren't here
Yeah,
yet.
yeah. Rob came. Rob kept his prosthetic off, which he hardly ever does, and he came with the cuff, the arm braces, and his name tag. I forget how it written, but his Halloween costume was the one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. We'll probably edit this part out of it. So, yeah, is there any, we can always loop back around if there's more you want to add about life before and right as you merged your lives. But I do, do you have an idea? Do you even know how many prosthetics you've had?
I have 7 of them.
7 legs?
7 with this new one, 7 of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'd like to merge in some of this audio, the video of you walking with that one, and
Yeah,
with
walking
Mark.
with this one is
that-
perfect. This is
I don't think
awesome.
I'll ever forget that. I don't think I'll ever delete that video.
That hip shimmy, like I want to cue that up and like put that. Like, it was
Yeah. And I've learned from being connected to the amputee center how other people are getting along and how they walk and how they sit and how they get in and out of the vehicle. Because it's just been Andy, and so I guess it's pretty normal for the gait to be a little side to side, when they walk. And that was the first thing that I noticed, is how upright he was and how fast he was. I mean, it was just immediate that there was less of a wobble and more speed, and he right away started using a knee. And he's had knees before and just never trusted them. And never used it. And
Because them different knees. This is good. This is a good knee. Those other one, nah.
and really, he said to me, this is the first time I've used my knee since I lost it.
Yep.
And that was a pretty big moment for me. I said, I don't think I'll ever forget that, because I've known him before, so capable in his prosthetic life, and now to see with this Steps of Faith prosthetic that came through, and almost no physical therapy. At least, Andy too is not a complainer.
Yeah, never do physical therapy. But no, now
Would never.
Now you're getting it.
now I get it.
If he actually,
33 years later.
if he has to ask if I have an ibuprofen, like, it's pretty serious. Another way I know that he's not doing so great is less movement around the house, and more, babe, can you get me this and get me that? And it's fine. It's nothing overwhelming, but it's like, oh, he's hurting, and he's just not saying anything, kind of stoic about it. And this new leg too I think is so much lighter for him to carry around, and there's less on his back. His gait is more balanced, and I think he's only gone through 1 or 2 rounds of blisters.
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
But tiny ones, not like with the other legs.
Yeah.
But everything is good now.
So, can you tell me a little bit about the Steps of Faith process? So you did the application.
Right. So I brought Andy to the area maybe 2 years ago,
Yeah.
maybe a little more than that now.
2 years and maybe a month.
And through
That was
through my best friend, she said, well, you've got to meet this guy. Andy would be interested in meeting this guy, Matt Hill. And it just so happened we really needed to meet Matt Hill because Andy forgot on this trip to bring his bag. And so we had to go get one. I won't go into what a bag is, or should I? The little...
Yes, yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah. So the bag that helps him when you put on the prosthetic, it provides a little bit of a suction and keeps the leg in place and locks it in. And he'd forgotten this, and so he'd been wearing the prosthetic, and it's just been kind of loose and rubbing and air pockets and just uncomfortable. And so we meet up with Matt Hill, who had met with Mark and Nancy and said, hey, I need a bag. Can you guys get me a bag? And all of this effort was incredible for people I don't know. And all of a sudden, here we are meeting Matt in his home with his wife, and he's talking about his story, and we get this bag, and Matt, over and over and over, well, we have this amputee center, and you've got to meet Nancy and Mark. And so we did. When we moved back, it was definitely an integral piece to us deciding, when we left Costa Rica where to go, because I've lived in many places in the States. And we came up for my daughter's high school education. And I thought, let's go home, for a number of reasons, and it's definitely a feather in our cap that this center exists. And I didn't even understand at the time, like, how unique this center is. Me being new to the world, I thought maybe every town had an amputee center, I didn't know. So we come back, and we're trying to find a community for Andy. And now in Costa Rica, Andy was part of more of like a phone chat, like a WhatsApp group.
Amputees group, yeah.
And it was an amputee group, and they would, every day they're posting little jokes and memes and touching base. And sometimes when we travel into the capital, they would organize and go have a dinner or something like that. So I was hoping for a minimum something like that for him. And we were just kind of blown away by, one, the number of amputees, the variety of people's stories, the different types of amputations, and what the center has done to provide support, both emotional and physical, and the classes. And they approached us, Nancy and Mark, Nancy in particular, and was like, I'd like you to fill out this application and see, if they would be able to help get something better than what Andy's got going on here, because this is looking bad. Of course, the jungle and the ocean atmosphere just eat everything, and quickly. So I'm sure that when you took that thing off, there was probably mold and sand in it.
Still sun in it.
So does that answer your question?
Yeah, so
So they encouraged us to apply, and as Andy's author here, I kind of formulated a brief version of his history, and also what we thought a better prosthetic would do to the quality of his life, for the quality of his life, and we've definitely seen that. Now, we don't have a bicycle for him yet. Look out, Vienna. It's coming, though. But he has gone out and walked and met people, and I know he's taking, I'd say, full advantage of the classes and the therapy that are available at the center. And so I spoke to all of that in the application process. So we've got this great center, we've got this great story, and we're trying out American life, and he'd like to work, and but right now, as things sit with this leg, things were a little rough.
So I know
we knew he was going to need
for me,
an
I
upgrade.
was working with him early on with some of the OU PT students.
Oh yeah, that.
And they weren't really sure what they were doing that day, and I was trying to, bring the OU students in conversation with him so I could just walk away and let them do something, right? And so when I was like, what would I say to anyone? I was like, okay, well, what's your physical goal? Like, what do you want to do? Like, what could we work on? And he's like, I want to run.
I want to run.
He's like, I haven't ran since I was 13. And I went,
Yeah.
whoa. Right, because even my perspective was like, oh, okay. But with that conversation, that was before the leg, was like, he was wearing the prosthetic leg, but not with this one, with the good knee, was that, there is, what can we do for your body to condition it to be ready, right? So then I was like, okay, so what do we do with the hips, and what do we do with the core?
Right.
Running takes upper body strength. People forget that. They don't think about that. So it was like, okay, well, then I was able to give the students, like, here's some things, and then let them work with you. But, as each person comes in, and this is any interaction with any human that's on a path to better themselves, that is, because some people are stagnant, but when you meet someone who is like showing up, and then it's like there's a whole big bag, right? Like there's a lot to dig through, and you only get to go as far as what they're ready to present to you. And so so being able to say like, oh, pinpoint, I would have not had thought of that. Okay, here we go. Now we know we need a good knee. Because then Natalie came out, and then Mark looked at me, and they were like, he's not running on that knee. And I was like, what? I don't know. Why not? You know? So, so cool. So what I hope to do is pull some of your story out and show the Steps of Faith Foundation and their website, and encourage others. And their mission is to provide prosthetics for the uninsured. And so being able to, we used our network and said, okay, where can you go? Go to Copeland, see someone, write. And I hear this now a lot, write the specific words. And then when they did, that we got that piece, then Mark could run with it. And Mark was able to, donate his time and craft it and put it together. And so there's, the leg, it's all a beautiful story that everybody wants to celebrate, but the pieces that it takes a team of getting everybody together and the right information. Steps of Faith is like getting that first step, but then finding the right prosthetist, who's willing to donate their time and care and want you to be able to shimmy as you did.
Yeah.
So use that knee.
Yeah.
So that is one of the things that we in the Mid Ohio Valley and where the Amputee Center is located, that Mark has been able to do so much good, and he is like one of the best when it comes to this. Like, that's what I hear all over and over and over again, of like, this is what he does well, and to do it with a happy heart and
very happy heart.
Yeah. Like, we're gonna do this. We're gonna make this happen.
Smart at what they're doing. You know what they're doing. It's no.
Yeah. So
both of them so positive.
Yeah, and to say like, we hit so many roadblocks in the world of limb loss and limb difference, or what feels like a roadblock. It's like, okay, all right, cool. Well, let's try this, and let's try that, and let's try. And so luckily, it is for Andy, but for many of the amputees at the center, is you have to have the willingness to say, okay, there's no fix it. There's no 100% fix it. There's this, we're gonna try this, and then we're gonna move on, and then we're gonna try that, and we're gonna try this, and we're gonna try that. And some days aren't gonna feel as great, but we'll keep trying, as long as you're willing to keep letting us try. So, that combination of it takes several, because Steps of Faith is their own nonprofit, and the Amputee Center is their own nonprofit. But yeah, so specifically, and you touched on the Amputee Center, and what they were able to provide, and honestly, you landed in the right spot.
Yeah.
Right moment.
You landed in the right place in the right time.
Right.
For sure. And when I left the Amputee Coalition, and I was standing in the lobby of the Hyatt Regency in Atlanta, and I see all of these people, because now it had been 4 days of me being the odd one, and I'm surrounded by all of these people in different apparatuses and mobility levels, and I'm saying like, they're saying, next year, we'll see you next year. And my heart was aching for each one of those that didn't get to come home to the Amputee Center.
Right.
They have to go back to relying on a little app conversation, a little Facebook conversation, a little piece.
Isolation.
And they're going back to
Right.
their isolation, and that huge journey of getting there, navigating the Atlanta airport, all that stuff. And so me being not new to this world anymore, but still adjusting my perspective of realizing how we can impact a community in this area, in the Mid Ohio Valley, but also like, how does it expand to help others? And I don't really know the answer, but we're trying. Like, how do we get people? How do we get PTs that can be well versed in working with amputees? How do we get support systems that speak to all of these things? Male-female roles get reversed if you then have to carry more of the load. If a man has to do more of what he didn't do, with the kids or with the housekeeping, there's all this stuff that hits people and they go, oh,
Oh, this too.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
started with the amputation, but doesn't end there.
And I said, I worked in mental health, and people would walk in and I would see their wholeness, right? They showed up in a vehicle that runs just fine. Their, clothing is beautiful. They've brought themselves in with the outlook of I'm whole, and then we have to dig for the amputation. We have to dig for the loss. We have to figure out where the loss is. And when an amputee walks in, I'm like, okay, that's where we start.
Right.
Thanks for presenting from the
Right,
beginning. I know
right.
exactly where we start, and then we go from there. So, is there anything else you want to add about the life and experience, maybe the transition from Costa Rica to America?
It's a step up in infrastructure to be here. There is more of awareness of alter mobility or alterability, and most structures have a level floor, curb cuts, wide doors. I mean, it's very much a handicap accessible place, and that's probably a boon for us. But it's just with Andy, it's just never really seemed to slow him down. So it's not so much. I don't know. Maybe attitudes are a little bit better. The attitudes there sometimes can. I know he's shared with me in the past the bullying that comes from kids, or the straight rudeness that comes out of adults of using, really outdated words like cripple. The jokes that go
Education.
too far, the teasing, that's still out there in adult attitudes and in the language, really, and it's less up here.
Yep.
But in his village, in his little community, I believe he had a lot of support, and maybe also a little bit of tough love too, but always the love,
The love, yeah. The love.
even if it was tough.
Even if it was tough.
Right,
It's the way.
right.
I miss it because, I'm not that active anymore like when I used to home. I need to be active. Need to be active.
Yeah, that's one thing. We're not in a tropical paradise anymore. Now we flow with the four seasons. And, it's not just the climate, it's also flowing with the seasons of life here. Like, people really do tend to retreat in winter. There's less going on. People are out in the summer, but oftentimes they're traveling. So there's and with that little town, the way it was positioned at the end of the road, and the weather, he would go out almost every morning on his bicycle and run down before the work day would start for the people, and they would go down and chat and communicate and joke, and you catch the gossip of the little town. I know he misses that, of having but that will come here. That will come here, but it takes a little bit longer. We haven't known you for 48 years.
Yeah,
How old are you?
that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. Give it time. Give it time.
Yeah, it would come. It come. It's better than when I just arrive. It's getting there.
So what advice would you give to a new amputee?
What advice I would tell them? It's gonna be hard, but don't give up. Keep going for it because it's gonna happen. Here in your country, it's so easy to make things happen. Back where I come from, though, I have all of these technology and these easy way and and therapists and all of these things you get here. Back home, we don't get it. You get your leg, and you better go and learn by yourself. Maybe it's changing now. Maybe because, a lot of doctors back and forth, and so maybe it's a change in San Jose, the capital. So yes, I would tell them that. Smart word. Don't give up. Keep going for it.
Yeah. What would you tell somebody that wants to date an amputee? Entertain the idea.
Right. You know, I don't know if I would really have any advice because I see you have a mixed bag right now. If I were to take a snapshot of the folks that I know at the center, some have been dealing with having their experience for years and years, and others are fresh. And everything in between. I don't really know what's yet to come. I do still honestly carry a little bit of fear of like, and in 20 years, what? At 67, are we still going to be hopping around? Or will there be some crutches here or there? You know, what will it look like? I feel confident, though. I feel lucky that I've got a personality that's not going to slow down. It's not going to stop him. But I do kind of worry sometimes on the physical end of like, wait a minute, what if I fall down? I'd better not fall down because who's going to pick me up? You know, who's going to bring me this or bring me that? I do, you know, worry about it sometimes, but he's shaking his head. Like, no.
So,
but that's real.
That's real.
honest.
That's a fear we all have, right?
Yeah, right.
Aging and aging together, and who's
right.
You know, I look at my parents. I look at my family and my siblings, and when you see other things in the community, you start to go, but what if? But what if?
But what if? Yeah.
And then life happens, and you're back in your day to day, and you get by, and you just realize you'll get by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get by.
Yeah. You'll be okay. Is there anything you want to, add? Oh, I know. Here we go. Like, what is something you would like to see the Amputee Center offer in the future that it's not already offering? Don't tell me we're perfect. I mean, you can tell me, but.
I'm not sure. I'm not actually confident on all of the programs that they've got going. I can share watching my daughter adapt to this new man and what we're doing and how we're working with Andy. When she met Andy, she just turned 8. Maybe it was just, it was just turned 8.
Never, almost.
Yeah. And she hated Andy's robot leg. That's what she called it. She just hated it. There was a lot of fear with it. She would cry sometimes. You know, like, I don't like him. I don't like his leg. And it was never really about not liking Andy, because he's pretty likable. But always about, the leg. And now she doesn't even care. It's not a part of her world. She helps out when asked, and she knows the routine, and she's completely adapted to life with Andy. Not that there was any big adaptation that she needed to make, but she's there. I was worried that entering a brick and mortar school, because she had been homeschooled for many years. She also went to public school in Costa Rica in this little town, and I know she's shared with me that she's been teased a little bit about, Andy's her stepdad and he has one leg. And I worried that would intensify as she's now, 7th and 8th grade, notoriously harsh age. And it was actually out of her mouth that I heard her on the phone, or she was speaking with another friend or something, and she referred to Andy as her stepdad. And I didn't know really if she'd get there, and there was no pressure on my end, and technically we're not legally married by law or the Lord, as I say, but she's already gotten there, and I think that if there's anything that is being teased or said to her, that it's just a non-issue, you know, because she's grown up with it. So she's probably the one that's adapted best, you know, maybe than all of us
Yep.
to coming up and living in the United States.
That's true.
What do you want to add? What would you like to see?
What I would like to say, Andy Putis, I would
More
like
dancing,
to see
nightlife.
people some of them get more active and do, because they could do many more things, but they just don't want to do it. And I would like to see many of them do things because they could do it. That's what I would like.
We've talked about how we kind of feel like some people need to learn how to fall.
Yeah, they need to learn how to
They
fall.
need to learn how to fall.
We
They
have
need
a
to get out there and
They
fall.
need to learn how to fall.
October 24th,
Oh, yeah?
we're having a fall clinic.
Yeah, they need to learn to fall.
Yeah, we are. We are. Otterbock is coming,
Wow.
and gonna the Otterbock is bringing things and a trained person, and then they'll run Stacia through it for the first hour, and then we'll have PTs run through it, and then we'll have amputees come in, and we will do a
Yeah,
clinic.
they need to learn how to fall. It's easy to, it's easy to get up, and I've seen a lot of them having issue when they fall. They need to learn how to fall. And then you get up. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's happening. So what else, Andy?
Tell me what you want to hear.
I don't know if they're going out to do outreach in schools.
Marley, whenever
Okay, great.
we had the therapy dog Keating,
Okay.
so he had a little prosthetic leg. Yeah.
Yes.
So Keating and Marley have gone into schools, and we had a really cool moment where a 6-year-old at the end, maybe an 8-year-old at the end of it, lifted her pant up, and she had a prosthetic leg.
Oh.
The class didn't know. Yeah, just here in Parkersburg.
Wow.
Yeah. So more outreach, because we did a kids' day last year and had like maybe 4 kids come. But getting more people to show up, and it's not a challenge. It's just our job to keep. I feel like it's keep doing what we're doing, make sure that we're putting out quality programming, and that everybody who walks in gets welcomed with the same love that you guys did, and make sure that their needs are met mentally, emotionally, and physically. Okay.
Yeah. One of these days, when things get more, I want to teach a class from something what I know. I want to teach them. I want to make a class for them. Okay?
You want to make a class?
Yeah, I want to do a class or something what I know to do. And they could do it.
What is it?
I don't
You don't know yet.
figure it out yet, but
Okay.
one of the things I know, I want to teach them.
I think Andy would make a great speaker. You know.
It's happening now.
It's happening now. I think he's got somewhere in there we could maybe pinpoint some really important moments. Like I mentioned, like I'll never forget the first time you fell.
Yep.
And like seeing it and seeing how you responded, like there's got to be some points like that
Well,
that you could share. And
remember when I was home all day, almost every day I have somebody taping me and the girl cooking and the big beer company come and make a commercial
yeah,
and all these things was happening.
just
you know?
in our 5 years of having the restaurant in this one location, raised the awareness. And I'm going to say for the entire country, because
it was.
because listen, there's 2 national beer labels, and like the equivalent of Coors or Budweiser, like came to the restaurant and filmed, and their whole ad campaign was uniquely ourselves. Was the kind of how it translates loosely.
Wonder if I could find that somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah, we can
Somewhere
get it
there in
too.
my videos, I got it. You got it too.
Yeah, I have it too. And there were other people that came because it's a sight to see. It's inspiring. It touches people whether it's directly relatable to an amputee in their life or not. It's relatable to see an individual who could have been, by all rights, marginalized, if he believed that life was over, if he believed that, some of those negative things that come through. But he didn't. And
It is, we
Right.
try to not even use the word in filmmaking. It's called inspiration porn.
Right.
It's a little too much, but to not even the word inspiring, but relatable.
yeah.
Relatable.
And people would come, and many were travel vloggers, because it has become kind of this off the beaten path destination to go where the road ends in Costa Rica. There's no more road after this. It's just all jungle and ocean. And here at this last outpost, there's a one-legged black man dancing in a grill shack, serving up the most delicious ribs you've ever had.
Yeah.
And it's inspiring and kind of absurd and colorful, and you want to be like I was, just magnetized to it. Like, how is this guy so happy?
Dancing
By all
every day.
rights, he should not be this happy.
You gotta be dancing and laughing every day, meeting people from all over the world, and all of the corner where you least expect. There's someone there. Even the people from the magazine, from the different traveling
The tour guides, the
travel guide books, like Lonely Planet, is
Right, Lonely
big
Planet
story
came.
for me in that book.
Right.
Yeah.
And his food's good. So it wasn't just that he was out there, being him and doing what he loves. Like, on top of it, it was just, wow. Caribbean food is not something you plan for Tuesday. That's, Mexican or Italian or, Chinese. But Caribbean, I've never had Caribbean.
And
We
is
hear that all
and
the
it-
time, and people are like, what is this? This is so delicious. And never
it's-
tasted chicken like this.
It's a next tour I used to do, like reach the plate. Like, we go, we snark, and whatever we catch, we go on the beach and we cook it. Yeah, that was something. They're still calling me and still looking for me for that. Like 2 weeks ago, they write me 11 people looking for me for go make this tour, but I'm not there. I'm here now.
It speaks to another time that you could just go down. There's no tour company. There's no insurance. There's no life jackets. There's no security. It's
Don't
you're
sign
gonna
a
get
waiver.
you're gonna get in
Natural
that
way.
boat with those guys with that engine and go somewhere down the coastline and spend all day with them. It's just it's for the adventurer. It's for the open-minded, and that experience has been really monumental in a lot of tourists' life. And he likes to stay in touch with these people. And even there's been a handful of folks that have come down with limb loss, like that man
Yeah,
Stuart.
yeah.
And his
Stuart
group,
is one
right?
of them. And,
And Andy took him and was like, we're going hiking to the waterfall.
yeah.
And this man just didn't believe that he could do it. And I think, we got mañana, mami, mañana. But then finally we caught him, right?
Yeah.
And you took him out.
You take him out, yeah.
it
Take him down that big hill to the
changed
waterfall.
his life.
Yep.
I know there's a book called Yoga for Amputees, and I met the ladies at the conference, and the one is, she's like, she would love to put together a retreat where we could take them, take amputees and show them. And it's like, yeah, but we got to have somebody who knows how to move in the
Yeah.
bush, because
Right.
like because we can want it, but in traveling without limits. Okay, I told him we'd be done in a second. So, but there is a whole campaign for the traveling without limits. So, cool. Anything else?
I feel like we should officially on record thank Steps of Faith
Yeah, we got thanks.
for the quality of life improvement,
And
for their, bless them for their willingness to help people way outside the box. Andy's he's a global citizen, let's put it that way. You're a global citizen without insurance, you know, to do things. There are many benefits available, you know, I think for folks out there that are going through this in the States, but in other countries, not so. So I really applaud their efforts of accepting Andy's application and changing his life. And I know that he's looking forward, like he says, he's like, I want to get out and teach people something. I think what he's saying is, I want to get out and inspire people the way I did in my restaurant, you know, in Costa Rica. I want to get out and talk to the people and show them that anything is possible. And then, secondly, it's a close second, but to Nancy and Mark for having the vision for Miller Prosthetics, for donating their time and their energy. And we're not easy people to get on board, as you know. Technology is not our middle name. Neither one of us can really operate our phones.
Yeah, that's true.
So to work with us on the weekly, on the everyday, and then you know, and for you, Kat, for all the ways that you're there for us, which is really, truly on the daily.
Thank you for listening to this episode of My Missing Piece. Be sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and join the conversation. Let's rewrite the narrative together.